Hello everybody. In today's video we are going to be talking a little bit about anticipatory anxiety, or what I like to call future doom thinking. That is when we project forward to a set of challenges in our life, something we're not necessarily looking forward to doing, even a work project that we might enjoy, but are unable to take action on presently, and we're trying to figure out, how to make this work, etc. There is a certain amount of emotional kickback, a certain amount of emotional disharmony that tends to occur from anticipatory anxiety or future projection into a scenario where where you're taking actions in your mind that you're not necessarily looking forward to, but you're feeling them, and that's the thing. When we project ourselves forward into the future, into a scenario, onto a challenge, onto a tedious thing like filing our tax returns or something like that. Nobody likes doing that. Well, nobody I know. And what happens is when we project forward into that activity, we end up feeling that activity even when we're not doing it. And what's kind of funny is that when it actually comes time to do that thing, to go through those steps and to endure that process, what happens is that it actually tends to feel less bad than the projecting forward is. Because when we project forward, we're on a level of mind and emotion, which gives us all very much the same sensations and emotional reactions to the thing that we're thinking about, that we're projecting forward about, but without any of the ability to action the steps necessary to conquer or solve or complete or just put that thing out of the way, to get it done, whatever the case may be. And this is actually probably especially relevant because it's time for the annual tax season's filings. This is not what I was particularly thinking out for me. I was thinking forward about all my different projects and the things I have to work on, and some of the paperwork that needs to be done, and looking and thinking about all these things, and just like, I don't like these things. I don't want to have to do these things. These things are a pain in the butt. These things are kind of stupid, really. They're useless, right? And I'm thinking about all these things in this way of projecting forward, which has a certain emotional charge to it, a lot of resistance, rather, to the emotional act of doing, let's say. It's a resistance to the idea of whatever it is that has to be done. And so when we're unable to take action, when we're projecting forward, when we're experiencing anticipatory anxiety, whatever you want to call it, when we're projecting forward and we're unable to take action on a thing, it just bubbles around inside of us. It just makes us feel bad. It can last for days. It can last for weeks. It depends on how long you have until you can actually take action on this thing, and that's the whole problem. So it's this kind of doom thinking, forward projection, anticipatory anxiety. And so here's the thing. Here's my suggestion on how to not do that. It's a thought replacement. Right? So instead of trying to figure out the thing in the future, in the present, when you're unable to take action on it, and all you can do is think about it and muddle it over and kind of work through possible ideas on how to solve it when you finally get there, or how to not feel bad about it or whatever, here's what you do instead. You take something that you don't like thinking about. Let's use something, for example. Let's use paying a speeding ticket, right? And having to go through the hassle of going down to whatever government office where this is done and go through the hassle of all this. You don't want to have to do that. It's a pain in the ass, right? But when you actually end up doing it, well, you might find that it's a bit of an enjoyable walk, right? You might actually have a little chat with somebody at the office. They might be friendly. The actual actions of doing the thing, I'll bet you, are not as uncomfortable in our mind and to our emotions as the anticipatory anxiety that precedes it. And that's the whole thing. So when you have something that you're not looking forward to doing, in your mind, replace that thought with, I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. It's an old saying, but it's really applicable. I will action that when I get there. right? And I don't think, and here's the thing too, right? Like I say, it's not usually as bad as you can project it to be in your mind. The actual emotions that go around the activity of it they don't usually feel as bad as the future projection of doing it, right? And they don't usually last as long either. And that's the thing. You can maybe start doing your tax reports or something like that, and you kind of tune out. You just kind of switch on to autopilot, and you get it done. You're actually able to take action on this thing that you've been dreading and doing. So you're actually able to action it, right? And since you're actioning it, you're not as in your emotional and mental, shit, so to speak. And if you're not as in your mental monkey mind about these things and having these emotional reactions to these pictures that you're creating in your monkey mind, and having all these, going through all of these emotions that are in anticipation of an activity before you even get a chance to do it. No, you're just getting a chance now to do it and put that energy onto the action. So I think that probably a much wiser course of action when there's something that you're not looking forward to is to put your mind inject the reminder that is something to do when we get there. I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. It's not actually going to be that bad. It's worse in my mind than the actual activity. If you can start implanting this automatic response, and when you start to feel bad, that's your indicator that you might be thinking about things a little bit wrong. And so take that thing that you think you might be stressing about, even if you're not sure if it's the thing that you're actually stressing about. Usually it is. We don't often give enough acknowledgement to the things that we stress about. But even if you're not 100% sure if that's the thing that you're stressing about, assume that it is. And if there's any other things, take those things too, and change the way you think about them. That is something that I will figure out when I get there. I will absolutely be able to handle it. It's no problem, right? It'll just be step by step. I'll tune out. I'll play some music. I'll just kind of go through the motions of doing this tedious thing or whatever the thing may be, right? And until then, don't do those things. There can be some positive forward projections when you might want to, in your mind, visualize a dress rehearsal for a play or a public speaking event or something that you want to practice in your mind. But that is a different sort of forward projection than, let's say, anticipatory forward projection, which is making you feel bad, which is actually not something you can do anything about until you actually get there. So if you can't do anything about it until you get there, just don't. Just try to get into the habit of recognizing when you're in that type of thinking and put that thought to the side. Just replace it with, I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. It won't be so bad when I'm actually doing it, and I'll figure it out when it's actually time to figure it out. And until then, think about the things you enjoy, right? There's a lot of things you enjoy. Don't let the anticipatory anxiety of something that you're not going to enjoy ruin the things that you do enjoy. Just put your mind on the things you do enjoy. Bring it back to where you actually are in life, not on the things that you might be having to do for, and usually the things we don't enjoy doing are things that are kind of imposed upon us, right? Like tax reports or something like that are a good example of that. These are not things we would do. These are things that are imposed upon us. And of course we feel angry about them, right? Like we feel always angry when unpleasantness is imposed upon us and there's nothing we can do about it. That is the alchemy of anger. That's actually how anger happens. When you have something imposed on you that you can't do anything about, that's the alchemy of anger. That's what anger is all about. Actually, anger is to shake up the system sometimes, right? If there's an injustice or a lack of freedom or something unfair, anger is meant to shake something up. Unfortunately, in some cases, anger can't do that. It's not without more of a collaboration than you might be able to do individually. Like you're not going to anger your taxes away. That's not going to happen, for example. So in some cases, like I say, it's better just to be the horse. Let whoever's riding you ride you, and to get to point A and point B without much thought, and certainly without much dread of the journey. Just get there when you get there. And think about it when it's actually time to be able, when you can actually do something about it, when you can actually action it. Okay, so that's this video.